Hello and welcome to the Daily Mill for Monday the 3rd of June 2024. No video over the past 2 days because it has been absolutely dry. Not a bit of Millwall news anywhere. To be honest, I'm starting to get a little bit bored now. I know we've had the England game today, but I didn't watch that because and apparently that was a good decision because that was probably boring, a lot boring as well. I know we've got the Euros coming up, but I'm really missing my Wheel War and I want it back. But good things come to those who wait. So until then, I will just have to make the videos and hopefully you watch them and we can get through it together. But before then, let's look on to this. This is a thing. I've shown this last year. This guy does this every year. It's a blog about the football economy and he always covers Millwall, and I wondered why, and then I found out he's a Charlton fan for some reason, so I don't know why he does that. But so this is based on Mill's last set of financial results, which I think were published in May or April. They are available online somewhere. I was going to pull them up, but during the old Steve Kavanagh thing, that's where I found out that he was earning £450,000 a year. That was his salary. So, Mill punch above their weight. So there you go. What is this about? Well, it sums up basically the report, which is it's like a paragraph or two, and then just a whole stack of numbers, and it was signed off. It was audited by some company, and then signed off. So that they said a little thing about it that was a bit worrying, but to my eyes, a layman, I don't really know all of that stuff, so maybe that was fine. But they did have a little disagreement. But let's read this. Mill's season was overshadowed by the tragic death of owner John Belton following a car accident. The American had been an exemplary owner, beloved by the fans for his leadership, passion and generosity. Mill's finances had been pretty good during his tenure, which we shall explore by looking at the most recent accounts from the 22-23 season, when the club narrowly missed out on a place in the playoffs after finishing 8th. So this was from the season before. Mill's pre-tax loss slightly reduced from 12.6 million to 12.2 million. So that's the loss. That's how much you've lost, and it moved, but that's not a lot. As revenue rose from 0.8 million, from 18.699 million to a club record 19.4 million, and player sales improved from a 0.1 million loss to 2.5 million profit. However, other operating income dropped by 1.1 million dropped to 1.1 million from 1.3 million to 0.2 million, while operating expenses increased 1.7 million from 31.6 million to 33.3 million. The main driver of the revenue increase was broadcasting, which rose 1.1 million from 9.1 million to 10.2 million, though match day was also up 0.4 million. In contrast, commercial fell 0.7 million, and there's a reason for that. We'll get into a bit later. Very few clubs make money in the Championship, so Mill's 12 million loss was slap bang in the middle of the division. A lot better than many others. 4 clubs lost more than twice as much, namely Burnley, Sheffield United, Norwich City and Birmingham. The last time that Mill made a profit was more than 20 years ago, and that was only £60,000. In the last 10 years, they've lost £92 million, including 50 million in the last 4 years alone. Ouch. Unlike many clubs, Mill have really made big money from player sales, only generating a profit above £1 million once in the last 10 years, namely 5.4 million in 2019, thanks to George Saville's move to Borough. It was much the same this season, as it looks like the only sale for money was Tyler Berry to Odense for around 500k. Mill's 19.4 million revenue was firmly in the bottom half of the Championship. Less than a third of the clubs recently relegated from the Premier League who were in receipt of parachute payments. Norwich City, Watford and Burnley. Remember, this was from the year before. Millwall's 6.2 million matchday revenue has reached the top 10 in the Championship, albeit a fair way below Sunderland, Norwich City and Sheffield United. Mill's average attendance increased from 12,998 to 14,767 in 22-23, which was the highest since moving to the Den in the 1990s. Of course, we know. So this was, like I said, this was 22-23. So for 23-24, you're going to think the numbers are going to look even better, which was the highest since moving to the new Den in the 1990s. However, the growth did not stop there, as crowds have shot up to 16. Oh yeah, here we go. I haven't read this before. I'm bringing it to you. I just skimmed it. Shot up to 16,540 this season, which is the highest since the early 50s. Kavanagh attributed this incredible rise to improvements in the matchday experience, which we covered last week when we talked about the that company that visits football clubs and gives a report, the secret shopper. Fall in commercial income. Now this is the loss. Mill's commercial income fell 0.7 million, 20%. Or 19%, mainly due to the decision to outsource retail operations with an offsetting saving in the cost of sales. This was exacerbated by Elite Sports, remember them, the club's retail provider. This is the one going into administration in November 2022. A new partnership with Fanatics should be more beneficial going forward. Yes. So, that is... It looks like that was the cost of that bad deal. £700,000, nearly a million. See, everyone's scratching their head, thinking, "Oh, what? Why did Why did they fire Kavanagh?" Hello. The guy's got a salary of 450k a year, and he cost the club 700k. What's happening here? And you think, well, no, how would he know that they would go bad? Well, with a cursory search on the internet, except do not use Google. I don't know if you noticed this. Google is absolute dog shit now. It's really, really bad. The search results from Google are fucking dog shit, which is bizarre, because Google was the number one main primo search engine in the world. It was a juggernaut, and it's just complete fucking dog shit now. So you search anything on Google, you're wasting your time. You might as well open the window and shout in the street. You'll get better answers. So but I did a search for Elite Sports, and then you find out all this stuff about they've got lawsuits with Rangers and stuff, and that was available before Millwall signed the deal with them. So, and then you go on Companies House website, and you can see all the filing history and the charges against all these companies. They had problems that were listed on that website. So you can't even do a basic check of a company before you sign a massive deal with them. And it costs us nearly £1 million. So, not only so that, if you're wondering, why did bit harsh sacking Steve Kavanagh? Well, not when it costs you £1 million, it's not. Not when it nearly cost you a lot more than that, when you nearly got relegated, because they headhunted a guy into the mix to be the new manager when he didn't even fucking apply for the job. Now, to be fair, I think James, the way I understand it, when James Berylson did agree to appoint him, but he's relying on everyone else to make a shortlist, and he comes in and interviews the people who are on the shortlist. But yeah. Following the decrease, Mill's 3 million commercial revenue was the second lowest in the Championship, only above Blackpool. That was a long way short of the likes of Bristol City, Norwich, Stoke and Sunderland. A little wonder that the club said the growth of all commercial revenues is of critical importance of the club's overarching strategic direction. Well, that certainly must have improved with all these lovely, lovely people coming from all over Europe and the world, coming to the Den, going to the Lion store and buying a shirt or two. Good stuff to see. Hopefully we get a bit of profit out of that. Millwall's 22.6 million wages are still very much on the low side in the Championship, obviously much smaller than the clubs benefiting from parachute payments. For more context, they were sandwiched between Wigan and Cardiff. In fact, there were only 6 clubs with lower wages last season, so it's clear that Mill have been punching well above their weights. Mill's challenges highlighted by the fact that their £9.7 million squad cost is still very much in the bottom half of the Championship. There's a huge gap to clubs recently relegated from the Premier League, which makes it very difficult to compete. Mill owners have provided £82 million of funding in the last 10 years, £72 million of share capital and £10 million of loans, and that was almost entirely used to cover the club's £73 million operating losses, with very little spent on either player purchases or infrastructure, around £6 million apiece. In fact, the £16.9 million capital injection provided by the Berylson family in 22-23 was the highest annual funding in the last decade. The owners have had to pump in £30 million in the last 2 years alone, entirely in the form of share capital, which is actually more than the previous 5 years combined. And that's another reason. You put the money in hoping to get results, and then they don't come. What's going on? The auditors and indeed the directors mentioned a material... this is the thing that I saw. The auditors, a material uncertainty in the accounts as the club's ability to continue as a going concern is dependent on additional funding from the shareholders and is not guaranteed. So it's literally, we are dependent on the Berylsons and that's not guaranteed. Why is that not guaranteed? Such a comment is clearly not ideal, as it's relatively rare for an auditor to sound such a note of caution. However, it's worth noting that 7 other clubs in the Championship currently include a similar material uncertainty comment, so fans should not be overly alarmed. Okay then. Okay. Why is it not guaranteed? Because of World War III breaking out? I don't know. Is there going to be a problem transferring money from America to abroad? I don't know. It's kind of weird. The new Den, Mill's best opportunity to generate more revenues by developing the land adjoining the stadium. They have a regeneration plan to create affordable housing, student accommodation, retail and office space, a hotel and conference centre, plus a stadium expansion. This would increase the capacity at the Den from around 20,000 to 34,000 by adding an additional tier to each side of the existing ground. The good news is that Lewisham Council recently awarded the club a new £999 year lease on the new Den and its surrounding area, bringing an end to a long period of uncertainty. Mill have punched well above their weight in the Championship, given their relatively low revenue and wages, though their business models require the owner to cover the club's losses each year, thus allowing them to remain competitive. On the plus side, the new lease gives the club a chance to broaden its horizons through though the loss of Berylson, John Berylson, who has acted as Mill's benefactor for so long, allied with the recent departure of Chief Executive Steve Kavanagh after 8 years at the Den, means the club is undergoing a lot of change. Indeed. Well, change doesn't have to be scary. It can be good change. It's better than stagnating and just dissolving into a pool of nothing, of grime and dirt and stagnation. So there you go. Like I said, very interesting. If you can get the accounts. Maybe I'll show it. I'll show it to you tomorrow if there's not a lot of news. But it's basically this what you've just read, what I've just read to you, but summed down and more of like an Excel spreadsheet kind of thing. Now, moving on to this. What is this? Well, this is from the London News Online.co.uk, the South London Press's online website. Major coup. Mill boss brings back trusted key member of staff. As a kind of, I don't know if this is linked to what we just mentioned. I find it kind of funny and I find it kind of strange. So we've got Steve Kavanagh and the other two getting a tin tack. And then you have Fairbrother coming back. He was at Millwall. He left Millwall to go to Formula E. Kavanagh gets sacked. He comes back. This guy was at Millwall. He left to go to Cambridge. And then he comes back. So that's kind of weird, no? Or maybe it's because the people there now, they know, and they asked him, hey, would you want to come back and work here? Because you already worked here before, how about coming back? So maybe it's just that, but it does seem kind of weird. Let's read this. So, Mill head coach Neil Harris has moved to bring back Lawrence Bloom back to the club as head of performance. Bloom held the position for 6 years before joining Cambridge United in June 2022. Bloom was head of sports science at Charlton Athletic prior to his first stint with the Lions. He also worked at Southend United as lead strength and conditioning coach. My remit in coming back to the football club over the period is not just about achieving success last season. It's about moving forward and regaining the culture and environment the Millwall Football Club should be. Is and always been, Harris told the South London Press. Certain members of staff are integral in that, and having been in the past and continue to be. Someone like Lawrence Bloom coming back to the football club is a major coup for the football club because of his knowledge of what is required to be a Millwall player. The culture that he sets within a football club is impressive. He's coming back to oversee and support medical, sports science, and nutrition, and kitchen is usually vital in the modern game. His extensive knowledge of some of our players and staff, but also leading the staff that he hasn't worked with before, is going to be integral, not just in pre-season and next season, but years to come. I've been really impressed with how football club has grown in the last 5 years. There have been positive changes in some quarters. The club has definitely grown into what I'll term a top 30 football club in the country. In some areas, staffing levels have gone up in numbers, and sometimes in that you have to get the right people. There will have been some change in staffing areas in coming months because that is the industry working for varied reasons. People either progress or move on, sometimes for family reasons. There are a lot of areas still to improve. Sports science, medical and nutrition is an area I've looked at very closely over the past few weeks, and making sure we continue to move at the speed the game moves at. And the game is so fast now. Tactically, technically and athletically. The game is so progressive. Making sure we move forward in a physical aspect is really important for us as a championship club. It's not just about the players at first team level, also the ones below at under 21 and under 18 level to develop them. That leads back to the end of performance, who can pretty much set the standards and the whole structure of sports science and medical from him downwards. It's not about overseeing every member of staff every day. It's about guiding, supporting and advising, being someone with extensive knowledge of the game that younger members of staff in this academy can tap into well. So there you go. Does this mean that we will be getting less injuries then? Hopefully, but we had a load of injuries before when he was here. Not I'm saying that's his fault, but yeah. Is this the end of Lurch? If you know Lurch, he's the big massive security guard of a hunchback. He's also the head chef, and I believe at the training ground, not the ground on a match day. I think that's a contract company, catering company that runs that. But at the training ground, he does that. So we'll see. Neil Harris talking a lot about food there and the kitchen. Is this the end of Lurch as the head chef? We'll wait and see. Now, moving on to this also from the londonnewsonline.co.uk. Usually pivotal, Millwall boss asked for Japhet Tanganga update after Lions agreed deal with Tottenham Hotspur. Neil Harris says Mill have pushed hard at the start of the summer transfer window in their attempt to secure Tanganga on a permanent deal. The Lions agreed a fee with Premier League side Tottenham in early May and have been looking to secure his services permanently ahead of the 24-25 season. Tanganga is due to be out of contract this summer, but Spurs have the option to extend his contract by 12 months, ensuring they are due a fee. The 25-year-old spent the second half of last season on loan at the Den after being recalled by Spurs from his stint in the Bundesliga with Augsburg after failing to play a single minute. Harris told the South London Press, it's really important that everybody understands, not just Neil Harris and his teammates, but the whole football club is a big fan of Japhet Tanganga, and I think I made it very clear in previous articles that I would love to work with him. Japhet's a player who will be in demand over this transfer window. As a football club, sometimes we can only push so far when we go through a process which is involving the individuals, agents of football clubs. It's safe to say that we have pushed hard to see if Japhet's a possibility for us in this window. Where I'm usually respectful as well is that there is a lot that goes into signing a player. It's not just involving money between clubs and agents. It becomes a lot of different scenarios. Family becomes a huge one when players have options to maybe be abroad. They have to speak to them as well. And there are moments in players' career which are usually pivotal. We're massively respectful at the early part of June, not just with Jab, but with other players as well. Things have to be aligned. Of course, we like Japhet. There are a lot of aspects that go into signing a player. Yeah. And one of them, I was thinking about this earlier today, I think it might be how many years. I don't think he wants to be absolutely tied down, because I think he might want the chance to play in the Premier if there's an option. So he probably may well come here for a year or two, but Millwall will probably want him for a 3 or 4 year contract. And he's like, yeah, I'm not sure about that. So he probably doesn't want to do that. But if we're paying the money that we're going to have to pay for him, we want to get the long term thing. Otherwise, what's the point? You're paying all that money for a guy that's just going to come here for a season, and then you have to pay wages on top. Like, what's the point of that? But yeah, there you go. We wait and see. Now, moving on to this. I told you about this the other day. I was pretty sure that the Wealdstone away was going to be under 21 friendly, and here we go. We've got it confirmed, and there's another one as well, pretty local. This from millfc.co.uk, so you know it's good. 2 Millwall under 21 friendlies announced. Millwall under 21s will travel to Cray Wanderers for a pre-season friendly on Tuesday the 23rd of July. Kick-off at 7:45 p.m. Taking place at Cray's brand new Flamingo Park Stadium. The fixture will give Kevin Nugent's side the chance to gear up for the 24-25 Professional Development League campaign. The Lions under 21s will also face Wealdstone away on Saturday the 20th of July, kick-off at 3 p.m. Ticket details for the above two fixtures will be announced in due course. So there you go. Further information on the under-21s and first team pre-season schedule will also be communicated on this website as soon as possible. But more likely than not, the other team will publish it first. That's how it goes. But we wait and see. Who are we playing this season? We don't know. We don't know. I'm sure it'll be underwhelming again. It always is, isn't it? And there you go. Now, moving on to this, also from millfc.co.uk. Emakhu receives Republic of Ireland under 21s call up. Emakhu has been called up to the Republic of Ireland under 21 squad for their 2 June fixtures. The Lion striker will join his teammates in Zagreb for a pair of friendly fixtures against Croatia under 21s and England's under 20s. Keep up to date with the progress of Millwall FC's international roundup, including Sarkic for Montenegro under 20s, and there they are. I'll get onto it in the next one. I'll tell you why these won't be on TV. Well, they might be on YouTube, but I doubt it. I highly doubt it. I think these are going to be played at training grounds and not stadiums. Now, this is from englandfootball.com. It's the page for England Football. England men's elite squad named for June games. What does that mean? Well, for some reason, they call the under-20s the elite league squad. Why did they do that? I don't know, but we're going to scroll down. This was decided a fair old time ago, I think. I think they decided this last, the 24th. So you see here, 24th of May. Well, there has been an update, and I'm going to bring you that update now. I haven't seen anyone else mention it, but I will. In the middle of your screen, next to the asterisk, Emakhu Esse, Millwall. He replaces Amari Kellyman from Aston Villa, who had to withdraw through injury. So Emakhu Esse, despite not being called up when the squad was announced initially, has been called in to make up for one of the players having to withdraw. So there you go. Fresh news, hot off the presses. And there you have it. So what that means is that we will have Millwall versus Millwall, or maybe not, because they do like to rotate the players around. And I am sure Emakhu will start for Ireland, and probably Esse will come off the bench. So they might not be on the pitch at the same time, but we're going to have England under-20s versus Ireland under-21s. And I've said it before, but I'm going to mention it now. So what's that about? Well, FIFA and UEFA operate competitions, continental competitions, at different age groups. For FIFA, the World Cups are at under-20s and under-17s. For UEFA, their age-restricted competitions are at under-21, under-19, and under-17, which is going on now. And England got knocked out by penalties in the quarterfinals by Italy, and it's been held in Cyprus. There is no under-20 competition for UEFA, so a lot of the European teams do not have an under-20 team. They don't have a permanent under-20 team. They basically, the way it works for the European teams to qualify for the FIFA under-20 World Cup, there is no qualifying, because, like I said, there's no permanent under-20 team, because the way they qualify is that the year previously in the under-19 Euros, UEFA Euros, the European teams, they get, I think, to the quarterfinals of that competition, all go through to the next year's under-20 World Cup. So there is no need to have a permanent under-20 team. But England, being who they are, do. Even though for some reason they call it the Elite League squad or whatever. So what this means is that this is de facto kind of like an under-21B team. Because they don't have permanent games, they only play friendlies. And rather than travel or bring another team in just to play one game in a friendly, like I said, they're going to Croatia, and they go over and they go with two other teams, and they play a little tournament. So they'll play two teams, and so you'll have England playing Ireland and Croatia, and vice versa, and that's how it's going to be. So it's like a little training ground thing. It's not serious. It probably won't be on YouTube. It won't be on television. Like, nothing's. You'll be lucky if you get some highlights on Twitter or something like that. So that's the story behind that. But there you go. Millwall versus Millwall in international competitions. When was the last time we had that? We could have had it. I think we could have had it maybe last year with Wales versus Scotland. But I think Bradshaw didn't make the pitch. I think he sat on the subs bench. So yeah, there you go. Emakhu Esse, late replacement for injured England player. Nice. Now moving on to this. This is from LondonNewsOnline.co.uk. I don't want to give closure. Mill boss Harris keen to work with a departing defender. Neil Harris has expressed his hope that he will work again with Sean Hutchinson, describing the defender's service to Mill as fantastic. The Lions announced last month that the experienced centre-back was being released. Hutchinson made 257 appearances for Mill and was a key part of their side, which won the League One playoffs in 2017. It was the Geordies' late winner at Bristol Rovers on the final day of that season that secured the Lions' playoff place. Hutchinson, 33, joined Mill on a free transfer from Fulham in 2016 when Harris, who returned to the South London club in February as head coach, was then manager. Sean has been fantastic for the football club, Harris told the South London press. He's a fantastic human being, he's a wonderful man and unbelievable top professional footballer. Off the pitch, his performances on it in a Mill shirt will be remembered for a long time. Hutch's chapter at this football club is, I'm sure, not closed over the foreseeable future. His standing at the club is very, very high. He's very well respected by his peers in the changing room, by the staff, by the board, and certainly by myself. I love working with Hutch, and I would love to work with him again in the future. I don't want to give closure to Sean Hutchinson's Millwall life because he's such an iconic figure, certainly over my tenure in charge. I talk about the players and people who are infectious, command respect, and truly are respected. I'll leave the door open for Sean in future relationships with the football club in the days, weeks, months, and years ahead, because that's how highly I class him. There have been so many inspirational and positive moments in the Millwall shirt that he should be held in that high regard. So there you go. There you go. What can he do? Is he going to come back and be the head chef at the training ground? Maybe. Why not? Now, moving on to this. We're going to finish with this. Southwark News, UK. You might see 10 positive comments, but you'll remember that one negative one. Millwall players on why they use or don't use social media. Social media has changed the world over the past 15 years, and footballers in the public eye have to be wary about how much attention they pay to it. It was back in February 2016 when relegation-bound Aston Villa were thrashed 6-0 at home by Liverpool in the Premier League. 8 years on, and the events of the game aren't particularly easy to remember. What many fans will recall is Joleon Lescott accidentally tweeting a picture of an expensive shiny car not long after the game, leaving Villa fans left infuriated. The clumsy moment was a useful reminder of the pitfalls for footballers on social media. While platforms like Twitter and Instagram give players a chance to interact with and feel the love from adoring supporters, it also exposes them to abuse and negativity, which, thick-skinned or not, can be difficult for any individual to take. Mill's player of the season, Ryan Leonard, dabbles in using different online platforms, but says he makes sure to take regular breaks. He told us it then. I do use it a little bit, but I wouldn't say I'm big on social media. I like to put things on there now and again. Over the summer, I don't really use it too much. I try to switch off and enjoy a break mentally as well as physically, and sometimes it can be good to get a break from it. During the season, I'm a small user of social media, but it's always nice to have a rest and refresh from it. I do think it's important to use it to connect with fans and family and things like that, and there's definitely a place for it. Meanwhile, striker Tom Bradshaw, who also spoke to New Zealand on the topic, enjoys the positive environment he sees on online platforms. He said, I use Instagram quite a lot. I've got quite a positive relationship with the fans. I think the fans have taken to me. It's something that I use quite a lot, especially after games and goals and stuff like that. For me, it's a positive environment, but I also understand some players that tend to avoid it because it can have negative connotations. For George Honeyman, his relationship with social media is more complicated, and the midfielder said he's left most apps behind. He said, when it first came out, I was a teenager, so I couldn't get off it. But honestly, I've probably been coming off it more and more over the years, to the point where now, if you count WhatsApp as social media, it's the only one I have. I think it's just because when I was younger and breaking into the first team at Sunderland, you can't help but look for stuff. You might see 10 positive comments, but you remember that one negative one, and it kind of became a whirlpool every week. And it's funny because when you speak to the lads, everyone's gone through the same thing. When you first get on it, you think it's amazing, and then you notice there's some not so nice comments. And there's something bizarre about the human brain in you that kind of goes searching for those. And the longer it went on, the more I realised I don't need this. The midfielder adds that he was also happy to leave behind the addictive nature of endless scrolling. He said, "You know that automatic thing where you click on an app and you keep scrolling and you don't even know what you're looking for? And I was doing that way too often. I was like, this is adding nothing to my life, and I decided to come off it altogether." Fullback Danny McNamara believes there are positives of social media, so he keeps up with some of it. He said, I don't really use Twitter, to be honest, but I use a bit of Instagram. I like to see family photos and see what's going on in the world. There's a lot of positives, and you can block the negative parts out. You can see your families, the sports you're interested in, like golf and stuff. Twitter I've come away from because there's a lot of negatives on there as well as positives. While Brook Norton-Cuffy, who has returned to Arsenal after his season-long loan spell, has changed how he's used online platforms during the course of his career, he said, yeah, social media is an interesting one because I feel like it's important to try and keep fans engaged and to keep people in the loop, but a lot of people have opinions on social media, so you have to be careful online, not reading tweets about yourself and stuff like that. I used to do it a lot when I first broke free, but good game, bad game, I feel like you're either going to get a high or get a low, and even if you see 100 comments saying you're great, and you see 5 saying he's the worst player I've ever seen, it's still going to affect you in some sort of way, so just to keep everything level, I don't try to look at it for yourself online and concentrate on your football. If you want to post, then post, but don't be reading into the gossip that's going on. So there you go. Now this is one factor where Neil Harris may be very well right in trying to look for Millwall players, and what is a Millwall player? What is that Millwall spirit? Well, what's the Millwall spirit? Well, if you see 10 positive comments and you see 10 negative comments, what do? Fuck them all. Fuck them all. Fuck them all. That's it. Who cares? Fuck them all. And on that note, thank you for watching, and goodbye.